Jared!
She said it.
Do you have any advice?
Put the money first. That's all. That's it. Wait, yeah. Throw that quote in there. Life's like a sandwich. No matter which way you flip it, the bread comes first. I wish that was mine. And like,
My glasses for this one, I think. Took some notes. So, as I've been saying with the videos and everything, that you can just message me whatever, and I would just anonymously, if I could say it, talk about whatever it is that maybe you're going through and everything. And this one is exes re-entering your life. I just started taking some notes. Like, as soon as I got the message, I'm like, you know what? I know a thing or two about that. So, like, the first point on here is, it's not just about me and my experiences. So before we go sending these to anyone, it's not just about me. It's just in general. So, it's hard to talk about it because you don't really know like what the situation was or why it ended. But of course it has a huge impact on anxiety and probably depression too whenever an ex tries to come back, because there's a lot of uncertainty that you have to deal with. Because, well, I guess I'll just go through the list because I don't want to repeat them. So one is, when they leave, you have to pay attention to the way that they leave. I mean, true colors are always revealed at the end of a relationship. Like, I don't care what anybody says, if that's true. The way that they, regardless of if it's you or the other person who decides to end it, the way that they either react or respond or go about it, it shows their true colors. It really does. And then the problem is, a lot of times, especially if you're the one that's being broken up with, you'll try to repaint the true colors that they show you that they are. So, most likely, at some point in life, your ex is probably going to come back. The first time that I went through like talking to a guy like pretty consistently and everything, I was all upset over it when like it just completely stopped. The dogs always have to bark. Anyway, my one friend told me they always come back. Like, that was her quote that I always went by, and I'm like, I don't think so. Like, the way that was left off and everything, I don't think that's true. I don't think they're coming back. And so far, every ex that I've had or anybody that I've talked to, you know, like pretty consistently, they've all came back at one point or another. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you're watching it, you probably already are going through it. So there's that. And see, you know what I need to do? I need to put a little thing next to each time I say something, because I forget what I already say and what I don't. So, okay, and then the next thing is, I feel bad in all my videos. I'm always doing that, but you have to really, really, really think about it before you actually allow them back into your life. Like, you have to really think it through, because once you let them back in, you always have the potential of them hurting you again, or you hurting them again, whatever the situation is. So you always have to think it through pretty well before you actually decide to allow them back in or not. This is too bright. I'm gonna regret doing that later. I'll be like, why would I? Alright, next point. You have to think about why your relationship had ended in the first place. Was it more so their side, more so your side, whatever it is? You have to really take that into consideration too, because I don't know if you believe or not that people change. Some say they do, some say they don't. I don't really know. I don't really have a say on that at this particular moment, but you just have to really think about why it ended in the first place and if it's worth it to allow them back in. So basically that all ties into that. So now the next one is kind of a quote, but I don't remember how exactly it goes, but it's something like, if and when, because it's probably gonna happen, if and when they eventually do come back, it's either because they genuinely did miss you and they want to talk to you, whatever the case may be, or it's because they ended it with you, they went out, they tried to replace you, and they failed, so they came back. And that's not good. But just goes to show that you're irreplaceable, in case you didn't know that. And another really big point about this is that this is really a time to, like, just completely, did I just write on my face? We'll pretend it's highlight. But seriously, when an ex tries to come back into your life, it's a time to really just, like, take a step back from your life and, like, really evaluate, self-evaluate your life, your self-worth, just, like, everything about your life. Just take a step back and look at it, and you can even think, like, okay, is my life better or worse if this person is in it? There's a lot of pros and cons you gotta kind of weigh out with that one, because you have to know your worth to know what you deserve. I'll say it again. Let me fall off this chair first. Let me get all up in. I'm gonna quote myself, like, misquote myself. Are you ready? You have to know your worth to know what you deserve. If you don't know your worth, how is anyone else gonna know? But you know something with that? This is for another video. But I've listened to people tell me, like, guys, they've been like, you need to know your own self-worth and all this and everything. But yet then they turn around and act like I wasn't worth what I already know I'm worth. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's another video. So, another reason, or point, I guess. Why do I have to keep doing that in all my videos? If you're dealing with, like, loneliness and just isolation and all that, that music's too loud. Don't let someone back in just for those reasons. Just because, like, you're bored or you just don't feel like being by yourself or whatever it is. Don't let them back in for the wrong reasons like that. Like, you have to actually really think the whole thing through. I mean, and the same thing could go for them on their side. Like, they might just feel bored. They might just feel, like, just lonely and isolated, and they might just be trying to get back into your life just to play with your emotions all over again. Like I said, it all depends, but sometimes that's what happens, and then they'll come back and then they just basically play you until they find their next victim to play. And sometimes it's genuine, sometimes they really do want to come back. So it's really hard to tell the difference. And that goes towards anxiety, of course. And I mean, they could be using you to their advantage. It's really hard to tell. I'd say my biggest thing is just really step back from the situation, look at why it ended in the first place, who ended it, why it ended, see if it's worth even trying again. And sometimes it really is just a matter of a gut feeling of whether or not to allow them back into your life or not. Usually you'll know, like, pretty quick. You're either gonna feel, once you're used to talking to someone and everything, dating them, whatever, once they're out of the picture, like, you're gonna feel either peace or just complete misery. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. Been there. It's just that there are so many what ifs with everything, and you just really have no idea. And then those what ifs are where the anxiety and the depression come in with this, because the anxiety is the uncertainty, and it's questioning, okay, well, are they coming back for the right reasons? Am I letting them back in for the right reasons? You know, all of the uncertainty. And then the depression comes in because your feelings and your emotions are all over the place. Like, you may or may not still have feelings left for this person, and even if you don't or think you don't, they might come back. It's just a mess usually. That's why they always say, like, they're an ex for a reason. Like, I got so tired of hearing that. Everyone says it, they're an ex for a reason. Usually, yeah, that's the case. Usually something big enough happened where it had to end, so they are an ex for a reason. There's no point in trying again. Sometimes really it is just stupid little things that happen, and just, but then there's also the pressure of everyone around you saying you deserve so much better, why would you put up with that, and all that stuff. Because especially if you're the one that got broken up with, usually people will push you in the direction of not allowing them back into your life. Understandably so, because you probably do deserve better depending on what happened, but it's just, it's all overwhelming. And the worst part is not knowing if people are actually being genuine or not. I had to close that. It's the last point that I wrote down for these. But I'd say the worst part is just not knowing if somebody is being genuine with you or not, because then it's like, if you do try again, are they just gonna hurt you again? So as far as that goes, I'm gonna say take a step back and really think about it. Seriously, how many times have I take a notebook, whatever, and I write pros, cons, and I figure it all out, and when it all comes down to it, I don't care if I have more on the pros side or more on the con side. It all comes down to your gut feeling. But then it also comes down to deciding, am I gonna let my brain win or the heart win? Which one today? No, I mean really though, that's what it is. It's like brain versus heart. So when it all comes down to it at the end of the day, it's up to you if you let this ex back in or not. But speaking from experience, I think that it's important, instead of just like, yes, my ex texted me or came back, however they came back, I think it's important to just take time, think it through, and then just see like what you think would be best for you in your life and everything. And it might just be another person. It might be time to move on. Maybe you needed that ex to reach back out to you to realize that maybe you do need to have another conversation with them. Maybe you do need some kind of closure. There's so much uncertainty. So like I said, that's where it comes in with the anxiety and depression, and it sucks. I have definitely been there over and over and over and over. If you know me, you already know that. So just, before you end up in this vicious cycle of like on, off, dating, not dating, breaking up, being together, all that, to avoid all of that, just think it through, like thoroughly, really think it through. I think that's the best thing I can say for that. I know that's going to cause more anxiety, but I really do think that's, like, in the long run, at the end of it, ultimately, I think that's what's going to be best for your decision. And then you're going to know, okay, do I allow them back in, or is it time to move on? I hope that was helpful. You can always message me again and get more specific with me. I promise I'll keep it anonymous. I pronounced it right that time. See, I got you.